Welcome back. So President Cyril Ramaphosa has emerged from his meeting with Donald Trump with a clear message that there was a firm agreement and an undertaking that engagements would continue both bilaterally and within the G20. Meanwhile, preparations are underway as UNISA, in partnership with the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, the Government of Tanzania, as well as the Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation, who will host the 15th annual Thabo Mbeki Africa Day lecture in Tanzania this weekend. Watching those developments from that country is SABC News International editor Sophie, who joins us now live from Tanzania. And you were in the studio just 24 hours ago. Your movements are a clear reflection that there's plenty on the go. Let's speak about this theme, the Morogoro theme for this Africa Day. How significant is it?
Well, I think you're talking about the coverage in relation to President Ramaphosa and now SABC here in Morogoro in Tanzania ahead of the Africa Day on Saturday. That speaks to the SABC taking its responsibility with commitment as a public service, particularly to tell African stories as well. Yes, you are correct. We are here in Morogoro. We expect those who are here in Tanzania who will be joining those who will be commemorating, celebrating, observing Africa Day in Tanzania in Dar es Salaam will arrive here to lay the wreath. You know, Morogoro is quite important in the history of South Africa because here lies many freedom fighters who died just before 1994. And we know that some of them, their remains were taken to South Africa. We saw those burials, people from Mozambique, people from Zambia, Zimbabwe. You also have the remains of many people here in Tanzania, that is Morogoro, and therefore the former South African president will be here to reflect on the role played by those who died in the struggle. We know that ANC and many other liberation organizations were housed here in Tanzania. Mwalimu Nyerere, who was the president of Tanzania at that time, decided to support the struggle. And now the Thabo Mbeki Foundation has partnered with the Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation to continue to do what Mwalimu was doing in terms of building a better Africa. When we pen, I'm going to ask my colleague Thabo to pen to this building. You will see that this white building, it is Solomon Mahlangu Institute. You'd recall that Somafco, this was a school for the children who were in exile with their parents. And when negotiations were done and there was elections in South Africa, the African National Congress donated that building to the people of Mozambique. You have students in classes now who are studying. And as you can see, here are the graves of different people who played a prominent role in the struggle. Some of them couldn't make it back home. As you can see here, that's Sishuba. You have many other names, Madiba. You have other names, Mali. And you also have Solomzi, you have Ngiti, just to name the few. But you can see this site, it's a memorial site. It's big, this site where I am. You also have the other site. It's a garden of remembrance, quite beautiful, well maintained by Tanzanians in respect of those who contributed to the struggle in South Africa and were not lucky enough to go back home to enjoy the fruits of their labor in terms of what they fought for. And therefore on Saturday, the Thabo Mbeki lecture will be delivered here, but in Dar es Salaam, and SABC will be there to share with the South African public, the Africans, particularly because the theme this year, Africa Day, it's about reparation. These are people who sacrificed but what are you doing with reparations as it relates to the colonial masters, but also those who were responsible for apartheid regime and many people losing their lives, and therefore it is a moment to reflect.
It certainly is, and I imagine amongst those reflections there'll be questions about whether the people who have paid the ultimate price would be happy about the status quo today. An opportunity to speak about the African Union and its effectiveness or the lack thereof to deal with the current challenges that are plaguing the continent.
Yes, as we speak now, people are not happy. The African Union is quite weak. You have a conflict in Sudan, you have tensions in South Sudan, you have the war raging on in the DRC, there are issues of poverty and unemployment, including our own country. And therefore, many Africans are saying the African Union, it's not doing enough to try and build a better Africa, particularly as it relates to the young people. That would include even working together and supporting each other. We saw when South Africa was under attack from the United States of America by the Trump administration, we didn't see much statement, only one statement from the People's Court where they supported South Africa, indicating that there's no genocide in South Africa, and South Africa is one country on the continent that is doing much, much better in relation to the human rights, even though there are challenges. And therefore you can see that the unity of Africa, Mwalimu Nyerere, Kwame Nkrumah, Haile Selassie of Ethiopia spoke about, it looks like it's not really happening, and therefore this is a moment to reflect.
Certainly is. Now, Sophie, it would be remiss of me to let you go without reflecting in one way or the other on that Oval Office moment between President Ramaphosa and President Trump, especially because South Africa is seen as a gateway country to the rest of the continent.
Well, many people here who are already here from South Africa were fully behind government, and there are mixed views in terms of how South Africa should have handled that moment where the President of the United States of America played those videos. And people are saying, when you look at fact check today, it's flooded with information indicating that actually President Trump had lots and lots of documents that were not related to South Africa. One document is a conflict in the DRC, but it was part of the material circulated. The other issue, the former South African president was following the deliberations, because he even pointed out that this morning he was watching Morning Live, catching a glimpse of perhaps the reaction as it relates to the news back home. That speaks to the interest, and fortunately you can get SABC here in Tanzania. So all those who are already here, they were able to follow last night and this morning. And of course, it was surprising that former President Mbeki mentioned that he did watch all the crossings on Morning Live. That speaks to the interest, and therefore I think it speaks to the mood among South Africans in and outside the country at this critical moment, because the truth of the matter is there's no genocide in South Africa.
Absolutely, and I imagine that reaction is going to continue streaming in. Sophie Mokoena, for now, thanks very much indeed. You have a busy time ahead as you build up to that 15th annual Thabo Mbeki Africa Day lecture in Tanzania. For now, thanks very much indeed.